Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Simply Addicted. And I am going to get right back into the topic where I left off at a turning point. In the midst of my TIPS surgeries, I got kidney stones.
Kidney stones?
Out of nowhere, but apparently
Kidney stones.
it coincides with liver disease, But the funny / not so funny thing is that this was in August, which happens to be my birthday. So I planned this big birthday party, and August is a very important month because it was in 2020. This was August 2024. It was my 1-year sobriety. So what I thought was supposed to be this joyful milestone day turned into yet another health setback, and I had to leave my own house filled with 40 plus people and go right back to my second home, basically, I felt, which was the hospital, of course. And I passed those, very, very painful, but just, can't make this stuff up. Then I'll fast forward a bit to September when I finally had my third TIPS surgery, and it was a success. And I was so thankful, and I was just like, yes, I am getting my body back. My stomach started to deflating more and more each day, or going down, whichever way you want to look at it. And I just felt normal again. Even my husband had said, I feel like I have my wife back, and it was so good to hear. I had been wanting to hear that for so long. And then 3 weeks later, I woke up with excruciating abdominal pain and vomiting. A umbilical hernia had formed, and it was huge. It was huge, like sticking out from my belly button. And there was nothing they wanted to do about it. I would have to wear a bandage to keep it down. And I actually had to wear a pregnancy belly belt to keep in hopes for it to go back in and heal on its own. But when I got that third and final TIPS surgery, my stomach was going down, but I still had that huge hernia sticking out. It was very awkward looking. And I had asked, do I need surgery on this? But it wasn't life-threatening. And to be honest, they didn't want to operate on me because of my blood levels. I have had many blood transfusions in the past due to low red blood cell count and low platelet counts, and operating was dangerous for me, and I was a very high risk patient. And so I just kind of let it be, and I'm like, this is weird. So I remember telling my husband, I said, this pain is different. We need to go to the hospital now. September 11th was when I had that surgery, the TIPS surgery, that was a success and worked and felt good. And then I was rushed back down to the hospital, and I was there for almost 12 hours because no beds were available. And meanwhile, they're running multiple tests, blood, I even went for a CT scan. And then I had 2 doctors come in to my little room, I guess, because it was, if you even want to call it that, it was basically me on a hospital bed, tented off. And they said, this is really going to hurt. And I had asked in these 12 hours, can I have something for the pain? I need medication, just something. But the nurses were saying, no, just in case that we have to do surgery on you. And I'm thinking, no, just run the blood test, see what's wrong. I'm not gonna have surgery. That was literally the last thing that I had ever thought. So the doctors came in and said, this is going to be painful. We are going to try by hand to push back your hernia. To push on your hernia to make it go back inside. Oh my gosh. I have never experienced pain like that. Mind you, I went through kidney stones, thought that was painful. This was a different level. I was screaming. Again, I'm not on pain medication. I'm feeling everything they are doing. Then they would give me a short break and I would ice it, and round 2, here they come again, trying, and I'm just screaming, and I'm like, this is not working. Like I couldn't believe that this is what they were gonna try to do. And right after that second time, they explained to me that worst case scenario, we are gonna have to operate on you. And if I'm thinking correctly, I remember one of the doctors saying, if I'm thinking correctly, we are going to find something that we do not want to find. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I'm very confused. And they said, we'll be back with you, very shortly. Sure enough, they came back and said, looked at me, looked at my husband, looked back at me, and said, we are going to the operating room now. This is very serious. Again, not thinking, what don't they want to find, and what is the worst case scenario? Which, granted, in my luck, was the worst case scenario. So before I knew it, they were shoving this tube up my nose to go down my throat, into my stomach. Felt all of that. My eyes watering so bad. It was painful. It was awkward. It was uncomfortable. It was all the things you can imagine. And then my nose was profusely bleeding because you're sticking these tubes up so far and back. And anyway, so they're doing that, and said, lay down, and I kid you not, rolled me to the operating room. I felt like going 50 miles per hour. So of course, I'm nervous. But it was so quick that I really didn't have too much time, thankfully, to think about it, because all I do is overthink and I'm always in my head. So thankfully, yeah, they rolled me in, I got in there, and 3.5 hours later, now it is about 3:30 in the morning, and my husband is in the waiting room, has no idea. The last he saw me, they were rushing me back. Didn't know what they were doing, didn't know anything, didn't have any piece of information. Finally, after the 3.5 hour surgery, they removed the umbilical hernia, and it was a success. I don't have a belly button anymore, but I have a pretty crazy story out of it. Long story short, what had happened is the hernia had cut off circulation to my small intestines, and I had 15 centimeters of dead intestines inside my body, which is basically poison. And I think the doctors were so scared to tell me this because it's very serious, and not knowing how long those 15 centimeters of dead intestines had been in there. But I do know that when the doctor came out and found my husband, he had said, if you had waited, 12 hours maybe, she would have died. It would have killed me instantly. Crazy. But I'm so grateful and count my blessings every single day that I am still here to share this wild, crazy ride that is my journey to sobriety. And that's where I will leave it today. I will say the next video I get into will be a little bit more on the emotional side of things. That's where I will leave this. Like I say in every video, I will be back soon, and thank you always for listening. Bye-bye.